All right, let's get started here, everybody. I can hear myself a little bit echoing, though, Ed. We're going to start coverage. All right, let's get started here, everybody. I can hear myself a little bit echoing, though. There we go. How's that sound, Ed? You still got my voice?
Clear.
Good. Okay. Great. Nice to see everybody. We're doing the live stream here on multiple social media platforms, so welcome. There is a severe weather outbreak right now happening over the southeast, and just to kind of bring you up to speed, yesterday several tornadoes through the Midwest, and that continues for the southeast. We're looking at the Storm Prediction Center. They have issued a particularly dangerous situation watch, and as that has evolved, we do have tornado warnings. There's even been a tornado emergency come out of that watch area, and we'll continue to watch this as we go throughout the evening. So you got a big long afternoon and then the evening hours as well. So Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Georgia here, parts of Tennessee, starting to see it calm down just a little bit there, and then into the Florida Panhandle. So let's get busy taking a look at what's going on. I actually changed the radar Omega a little bit to put some of the storm reports in here so you're able to see what's going on. So all the little numbers that are on the screen here, those indicate different types of reports. For example, here's a 2-inch hail report that has come out of this particular storm here. So put it into motion, you'll be able to see how this is moving. Starkville, Mississippi right here, and they've seen some early showers and storms come through. The warning that's the closest to them is the tornado warning, but the storms are having a north-northeast push to them. So we're getting to the latest with this tornado warning. You'll be able to see it's a radar indicated tornado, and the location of this here looks like it's over Western and Montgomery counties, and this warning will go for a few more minutes until 12:54. Well, it's looking at 12:54 Central Time issued. It's got a 60-mile-an-hour wind with it moving northeast, and so if we take this look at this and see kind of where it's going, 60 miles an hour. This is the high risk zone, by the way. So we get a little look here at what it'll do in the warning with the 60-mile-an-hour wind. Now push movement. There's a look at where the population is. We've probably got, for this particular storm, about 1,600 people in the zone. And again, when you get the map kind of riled up like this, it's like, okay, what's happening? This particular storm area right here is what we're looking at, and it's moving north-northeast. There's going to be storms like this get started all afternoon. And as they do so, the problem is that once they get started, there's very little to slow them down. What we have here is a classic setup. And a classic tornado setup means that the atmosphere is producing all the conditions necessary. A low-level jet, about 60 miles an hour. At 4,000 feet, we're still at 60 mile an hour winds. So a big push in the atmosphere at 4,000 feet. We also have a very pronounced cap that's still in place. You've got the backing, you've got the south-southeast winds right at the surface, and then some major shear. When you looked at the soundings this morning in places across Mississippi, all you need in a sounding for major shear is maybe 20, 25 mile per hours. We had 50 mile an hour shear. So all of these things coming together let us know that any of the storms that do start are going to have no problem. There's a very pronounced cap, a lot of energy, available energy. So the 2,000, we're above 2,000 easily. So all these ingredients, as meteorologists and scientists point that the atmosphere is in a situation where there's not a lot to slow it down. High-risk discussion came in from the Storm Prediction Center. It talks about some of the thunderstorms and how violent they could be and how important it is to be ready and prepared for these storms. So once the supercells get going, there's very little to slow them down. Get a wider picture here for you. Again, put a lot on the map so that we would be able to track them and take a look at these storms as they came in. And once you see this line, it extends up through Tupelo, which is really under this tornado warning right now. A lot of chasers out there have been reporting on this particular storm as it's moved into the Tupelo area. So the tornado warning is going to go to 1:15 Central Time there. It is very capable of producing a tornado. It has a history of producing quarter-size hail, and this storm is moving a little slower northeast at 40 miles an hour. The tornadoes that moved through Missouri last night were moving at 60 60 miles an hour on the ground. So it's just really a fast storm. It just emphasizes to us the necessary precautions that people have to take in these areas as you look at the storm coming through. You don't have much time. If you're just going to see a 40 mile an hour wind or a 40 mile an hour storm coming at you, or a 60 mile an hour storm coming at you, it's very little time to prepare. These are fast movers. So here's where we're at right now with Tupelo as this storm comes through. The other alert that's come out of it is it's been a training storm situation. We were repeating a lot of showers in this particular area. And so what that's doing is producing this flooding, flash flooding in some of these areas. So you've got to be aware of not just what's happening as far as the tornado and getting to a low point, but also being aware of the water. You don't want to get to a low point like a basement. You've got a flooding issue at the same time. You got to use a judgment call here on what the best protocol is for your particular situation. This is going to expire in about 4 minutes. We'll wait and see what the National Weather Service does with that particular warning. It's a severe thunderstorm any way you call it because of where the location is. There's just so many warnings. This morning, waking up, about 140 alerts across the U.S. for different types of severe weather. And this, of course, has been the most life-threatening situation, is what's happening in the southeast with the thunderstorms and the tornadoes that have popped up. Another batch of storms down here. This is closing in on Meridian. This is just off of I-20, just a slight area south of I-20. And this particular storm right here is in the high-risk zone. It's got a tornado warning with it. Let's look and see what the latest on this is. That gives us the discussion for it. Probably got to take these discussions off because it's giving me a lot of details that I don't want to see right now. Northeast 50 mile an hour for this is the particular storm right here that is actually moving towards the Meridian area, probably just west of Meridian is what we're going to be dealing with. There's a look at the storm right there. And right here is an indication of just how intense that storm is. A lot of storm chasers are in this, so high degree of confidence that this is a tornadic supercell. And again, the messaging for this is once you get a supercell started, it's going to be very difficult for anything to slow it down, because the atmosphere that's awaiting the storm is capable of supporting the tornado and perhaps even making it more intense. So that's really kind of the scary situation. Let's check out what's happening with this in the high risk. Take that off. Let's see if we can kill the high risk off of our display. I don't want to see that for a second because that'll give us a little bit more control. All right. This was the tornado emergency that came through, and it's still in effect. This is for southeastern Lawrence, northwest Marion, and southwest Jefferson Davies counties. This tornado warning is going to go until 1:45 Central Time. Large confirmed destructive tornado was located over Oakville, and that's about 12 miles northwest of Columbia. So looking at these storms as they move through Mississippi, these are life-threatening situations. The difference and the wording that the National Weather Service has used is different. It's extraordinary. When you hear PDS, or particularly dangerous situation, whether that's a watch that you're on the lookout for that type of storm coming through, or it's a warning that's happening right now, that is issued for extreme situations, that you're 3 times more likely to be hit by a tornado if it has a PDS tag with it. It's very, very seldom. They only do it 7% of the time when they're issuing these watches. And so that's why you've got to be aware of and understand. A watch is, we're looking out for it. It could happen. A warning means it's happening right now. When you get PDS, particularly dangerous situation, or a tornado emergency, it speaks for itself. And the wording inside these alerts that they offer up also tells you you're in a life-threatening situation. You need to get out of the way. You need to make sure you're in the lowest floor of a very sturdy building. It's a dangerous situation, and it's capable of destroying property and put you in harm's way. So that's what we're looking at for that particular storm. Again, north of Columbia, which is Columbia, Mississippi is right here. You got Hattiesburg just off to the east, and the storm is moving in this direction. So we'll be watching that one. The other storm is right here to the west of Meridian. This has also been a tornado warned storm and has produced hail that has been in the, look at this, 1.5 size hail. We've got 2-inch hail reports that have come in. So damaging hail. You leave your car out on the carport, 2-inch hailstone could do some real damage as it comes through. This particular storm here that we're watching is going to be making its way across Interstate 20. There's a lot of storm chasers, it looks like, that are waiting in this area to be able to sort of capture that. Let's head over to our other source on radar scope, and we'll be able to see sort of the bigger area of watch or the alerts. This shows you areas in yellow are under the thunderstorm. Well, actually, they've gone to a tornado watch, which is a PDS watch. So looking out for particularly dangerous situations. So the severe thunderstorms are all capable of producing the tornadoes. A couple of things stick out here. You've got a long period or a long duration of threatening storms. So this morning was a bit of a lull. We had the storms off to the west that were coming out of the Midwest, and now you're back in it, and you've got these threatening situations. The tornado watch that's been up will probably just be extended. It looks like it'll be set to expire in 40 minutes. We'll see what happens with that. So that'll be for portions of Alabama and Mississippi. But until then, these are very, very strong storms that are coming through. And again, not a lot to slow them down. When you look at the alerts that are up, this is the tornado emergency that we just talked about. This is over Jefferson Davis, Mississippi, and pretty intense. This is a hook right here. So when you're looking at radar data, there's a couple different things we look for. Of course, the colors and the intensity are one particular portion of that, but also looking for a little notch like this. When you see a little notch like this, it indicates to us that we've got some circulation within the storm. Now, this storm right here, this is a very highly populated area. So you've got people in this area where the tornado emergency is currently underway. Now, people who live in the South, they know that they've got severe weather, and they put a plan together. They get their no weather radios. They have invasive ways to get the alerts. But it is really a day where everybody has to, I mean, really the entire state of Mississippi is looking at the potential here for incredibly dangerous situations. There's the tornado warning that's coming out of the storm just off to the south. So pretty interesting that when you're looking at one storm here on the heel, I mean, this is the storm that's moving through, that right behind it, you've got another storm coming in just back here and making its way in the same direction, just to the northeast. All of these look like they'll stay just a glancing blow west of Hattiesburg. So I'm going to let that go. Let's head back over to see what's happening with the latest alerts. We'll go with the top alert that's come in. That is the tornado emergency. Again, Jefferson Davis, Mississippi is the place that we're watching that storm. And same situation here. When you're looking at the radar, you can see that there's an area in here, a little notch, that's giving us an indication that we've got circulation in this particular storm. Also, it has a history of producing hail, 2-inch size hail that's come out of the storm that we're watching right now. And where is it headed next? We've got 30 minutes left, about 27 minutes left on this tornado warning, which is a tornado emergency. They have more information, meaning they've been able to see the storm, get a good look at it, and confirm that it's large and can be very destructive. It's moving at 50 miles per hour. And again, this is in southeastern Lawrence, northwest Marion, southwest Jefferson Daviess County in Mississippi. The impact here could be devastating. And so deadly tornado is possible, and that's why you want to make sure that you're paying a lot of attention to the weather as it comes through the area today. This particular supercell and the tornado that it has with it is a part of a bigger storm threat. By the way, there's been a lot of outages ahead of the storm here. For some reason, they had some smaller thunderstorms come in earlier, took out some power. So there's some limited power outages. But when you want to know what kind of damage these storms can do, let's go back to where we had last night. The intense storms come through St. Louis, and they've still got power outages in these areas. 113,000 in St. Clair County, 12,000 in Monroe County, just off to the west where likely the tornado came through, 50,000 still. And that's proper St. Louis area there. So these storms that are coming into the area, they do have the possibility of knocking out your power. So you not only want to keep yourself safe, but you also want to think about after the storm passes, what in particular you should do to keep yourself safe. The threat zones today have really been Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, West Georgia, and Tennessee. Florida Panhandle, you'll be in on this too, but a little bit later, the threat goes through the afternoon to the evening hours. The tornado watch that is up for these areas is a PDS, particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. And we've seen that happen because we've actually seen what's been going on in some of these storms. Once they get going, as they mature, these supercells, once they start to give,
has been issued.
I'm going to let you talk here if you want to talk for a second. It can be, won't be interrupted. A major supercell that develops won't be interrupted because it's got enough in the atmosphere to support it and to have a structure. That's why there's high confidence of a historical outbreak, which is underway right now for the southeast. Take a look. We think Tylertown, Mississippi is one of the areas that could have seen a tornado. I'm going to take a look at the latest storm reports that have come into the Storm Prediction Center. All right, so this just gave us a new mesoscale discussion, came up about 5 minutes ago, and the tornado threat continues. Intense tornadoes are possible, and the outline of this most intense area does include Starkville, Mississippi on the south side. It includes Tupelo on the north side and extends from Greenwood, Mississippi, all the way into Huntsville, Alabama. So there's a large area where we're going to be looking at the potential for severe weather. And when these tornadoes start to develop, they can produce winds that are 140 to 170 miles an hour. That's the strength of the wind inside the rotating tornado, and they're moving 40 to 50 miles an hour. Very fast moving storms. So if you see a storm that is off in the distance that appears like it's coming in your direction, you can almost bet that the intensity will be the same as it approaches. So the storms that are coming out of Tupelo and they're headed towards Russellville, these will likely have the same intensity. Not a lot in the atmosphere to discourage the support of them. If you don't get a tornado and you just have a severe thunderstorm, don't discount that, because the 65 to 80 mile an hour winds with a thunderstorm are also incredibly powerful and can do some damage. You need to make sure your pets are taken care of today. Everything's tied down or put away because the winds can lift things up. The hail threat is up to 2.5-inch hail possible. Again, in this area in northern Mississippi and northwestern Alabama, where the tornado watch has just been updated from the Storm Prediction Center to give us a little idea of what we're in for in the short term. And then there's also much of the state of Mississippi is in this PDS watch, which is going to take us into the late afternoon, evening. They've extended the tornado watch for Mississippi, the PDS, particularly dangerous situation, until 8 p.m. And we're going to get the latest on these storm prediction storm reports. These are more official reports that come in from local emergency management, train spotters, chasers. Sometimes the public will report it. So what we've got as far as tornado reports today, we have one coming out of Sharkey, Mississippi. It looks like minor damage, at least in this report. Utility poles snapped, trees down just south of Nidayuma. In Sharkey County, some houses were damaged, so it does look like they've been destructive. Power lines are down near the town of Grace. An ambulance en route for possible injuries. So this is a report that's coming in from Sharkey, Mississippi, a tornado report from that area. There's also one that came in from Louisiana. Structural damage and roads blocked, likely tornado. The name of the city is Tangipahoa, not exactly sure I've got that pronounced right, but that's in Louisiana. You also have Walthall, Mississippi, which had a tornado report. Damage to a trailer park likely due to a tornado. A lot of hail reports coming in, very large hail in some cases, 2.5 inches has been the highest report that I've seen. And then we've got a lot of wind speed, wind damage. Winds lofted a carport in Pocahontas, Tennessee. Downed trees, down power lines, 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Amy, taking a look at a city cam coming in from Has Cams from Tupelo, Mississippi here.
All right, Ed Lozano joining me, making everything happen behind the scenes. This is a live view that we've got here from one of the Has Cams, and you can see basically the entire land or the entire skyline here blurred from the clouds that can take you all the way down to the surface. And as these storms come in, there's different types of tornadoes that can develop, and there's different types. And, a line of storms coming in can sometimes look like a wall of clouds. Because the atmosphere is extremely unstable, moist, soupy, if you will, sometimes it's very difficult to even see the outline of the tornado until it's right up on you. And that's another danger that comes with this, which is why it's so important that we use technology to see where these storms are coming from, and then the alerts to reach people in time to let them know what they should watch out for. Let me get you into what's called Radar Omega, great app, by the way. I can't this is one of the coolest things that you can look at if you're looking at storms, because it just gives you so much information. This is the tornado warning for Jefferson Davis County. There's a confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado, and it's located over Carson or Prentice. It's moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. This is a particularly dangerous situation. Take cover now, damaging tornado. So that is a great example right there of a storm that has formed as a supercell and is not going to be slowing down. Some of the characteristics of this, we can see right there, a large tornado, very, very likely, potentially some hail coming out of the storm. That is the warning area in the red box. But where the storm is headed next, well, you know what? Let me see what was the movement on that. How fast was that guy moving? Let's look at this storm really quick. It'll give us some details in here of how quick it was moving. Northeast at 50 miles an hour. So that piece of information is going to be valuable if we want to see where the storm is headed. We'll just take it kind of over Highway 84.
Flood warning has been issued.
We'll put the winds, the movement in there, and that tells us where the storm is going to be moving next. So you get an idea there on the screen. This gives people in Williamsburg 23 minutes to prepare. But if you're in Carson, you've got 8 minutes. When the tornado warning is issued, it's important that you take action immediately. You've really got to make a move when that warning happens and already have your plan in place. You can't wait until it's passed. All right, let's take a look right here. This is a Mississippi Has Cam, and you can see a church off there in the distance, a little bit of blue sky. Again, a lot of elements have come together to support an unstable atmosphere and clear sunny skies in front of the storms. You woke up on a Saturday morning, it looks like it doesn't look so bad out here. That is part of the support that's going to make for a dangerous situation as these storms come through. So you get the storm twisting, and as it moves into an atmosphere that can support and buoy it up. And so that's where the danger comes into play. Looks like the cameras are starting to move just a little bit, so wind speeds are likely picking up there. Let's take a look at the other 6 tornado warnings right now. We talked about the particularly dangerous situation one. Let's look at the latest one. This one is in Walthall, Mississippi, coming out of Tylertown. That storm right there looks like it could be extended, because look at the most intense part of this storm right here. We've got, it's come right out of the warning area, and then there's another warning that's pulled here. So perhaps they will extend or cover that particular part of the area. That's interesting. We've got 2 different alerts up there, and there's kind of a spot here in the middle where we haven't seen the warning pop up. North of Columbia. There's been a hail report that came out of this as well, 1.25 inch hailstone, so some pretty large hail coming out of it. And let's see where the movement is on that storm. If we just put it into motion, it'll kind of give us what's happened over the short term. It's loading. You'll be able to see this move. And there's a few showers that move through ahead of that. And then there we are with the main storm overhead. That looks like that is a very, very large supercell right there. Okay, let me see. Velocity there. There's a large hail report. That was 2.75. That was just west of Kenwood, west of Interstate 55. And now we can see those connected over Tylertown. So that looks like they just put an expansion on that one warning.
Amy, we've got a live camera coming in. Bassfield, Mississippi, just north of Columbia. This is storm chaser Corey Poppenhole that's providing these live feed.
This is really dark skies, and where he's likely facing, there's some rain over where he is. So if you look at Columbia in that direction, that could be looking at the storm right there. And the larger part of the storm is back here.
A new
more dangerous part of the storm is off in the distance. But if he's in that direction, that's what he could be looking at, is that storm. Look how dark the skies are. That is ominous. Rain's coming down. The other interesting thing, which we talked a little bit about yesterday when we were looking at the severe weather coverage, is for storm chasers or field meteorologists who are out tracking these storms, in portions of Mississippi, it's very difficult terrain. There are a lot of roads that are very narrow or roads that are tricky to navigate, a lot of dirt roads still. So there's still, a danger to track in the storms in certain parts of the country, and I would say Mississippi would be one of the most difficult places to deal with that. Let's see if I can move this guy over here a little bit. All right, let's take a look at the tornado warnings that have come through.
And Amy, hearing from some public safety online that is just to the north of Tylertown, a possible tornado on the ground there. Just north of Tylertown.
Tylertown, that's where we just were looking. I'm going to get you right back into that. I wanted to restart this very quickly so that I can see it not full screen. And so I'll get you right back into this. Is the Tylertown. This is the latest on the Tylertown storm. So this is particularly dangerous situation, likely a tornado on the ground, and this is for the area just outside of Tylertown. So this storm has been extremely dangerous already as it's moved towards Tylertown. Right now, this warning coming out, letting you know a confirmed large, extremely dangerous tornado is located over Tylertown, 20 miles east of Macomb, and it's moving northeast at 15 miles an hour. Particularly dangerous situation. You take cover. You do not want to be in the path of this storm outdoors. You want to take cover in your basement, lowest floor, and a very sturdy structure. Hopefully you already have these plans in place. Here's something interesting. When we expand this out beyond Tylertown, the alert told us that it was moving northeast. We've already seen an expansion of the warning, not only just for this area, but also beyond, taking us all the way to Taylorsville. So Tylertown is going to be where we see the beginning of this, and then you've got an alert that takes you a long way. So this is a very large tornado, and it does not have anything to slow it down, stop it, or weaken this mature supercell, and so it won't be interrupted. This is part of the fear of a tornado outbreak, is that you get very large storms that are then supported. The atmosphere continues to support their development. If you look at where this portion of the storm is and you take it, moving at 50 miles an hour northeast, this is some of the areas. Okay, so this population zone not showing up anything too impressive. So let me pull it back just a little bit and you can get a better idea. Wow, that is just a large area. So if we take the storm and we attach it to, say here's our starting point, and we put 50 miles an hour. I gotta drag it though. Here, let's take it just the length, maybe to Collins, and see what we get. So that's got a population of about 1,500 people in that stretch to the well west of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and it's west of 59. That's an area where maybe not highly populated, but people who are in this area have got to be prepared for the storm because this is going to be destructive, very, very destructive storm coming through. Where it originated, which was back south of Macomb, south on 55, a lot of hail reports came out of that portion of it. There's a 2.7-inch hail report, and that's the same storm that has come over Tylertown and now is going to make its way towards Taylorsville. Let's see if we can get the large picture here. Okay, a little larger history of the line of storms. Coming on to our other weather source. Right now, this is going to be the big storm. The elements that were in place, why so many tornadoes? Why is it such a horrible setup, a horrible storm system? It's because the atmosphere is supporting, because of the energy there, the moisture there, the heat, all the ingredients, if you will, for a tornado to form have been there. So the severe thunderstorms easily can produce twisting storms. There's different winds at different levels of the atmosphere which start to create the flow. I want to give you a big setup here of what's happened over the last couple of days, really. So if we take a look at the whole U.S., we had a large storm system that came out of California. It was a Pacific storm, so it was very wet and very cold. It produced 40 inches of snow in 48 hours in the Palisades. That storm came across the southern plains, and as it did so, it created intense winds, 100-mile-an-hour winds, because it's running into this hot, dry air, and all of a sudden you've got intense winds, 80 to 100 miles an hour, knocking over semis. We had dust storms that created multi-car pileups. That really was what happened in the Panhandle here. Yesterday we could see dust from space on the satellite imagery. That was intense. So that flow of energy really kind of driving across the country allows the low pressure to set up here, and then you've got a flow of moisture coming out of the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico, however you want to play that. And as that starts to happen, then you have a setup where there's clashing air masses, and that's why we've got the problem that we've got right now developing over the southeast, and that's why we have such a horrible tornado outbreak going on right now across the country in the southeastern portion of the U.S. Yeah, they put on all of those alerts that are coming out of Tylertown, all of them have a considerable threat, and all of them right now are particularly dangerous situation.
New information. This tornado warning has been updated.
Allow this to load up, see if we can see it moving. As we go throughout the afternoon, we're going to let our feed run here so you can go ahead and see the alerts as they come through the radar, and from time to time sort of when opportunity allows, jump in. You know what, let's try a little at the wall, Ed, because while we're here, why not? And I can allow this guy to come up. And if we want to take one of the screens full, then I will give a little weather wall and we'll show what's going on there. I don't know if it's going to be, this is kind of our first couple times to do this, so who knows what's going to happen, guys? Who knows? Here's a look right now at the radar, which we're watching, and it shows the same tornado that has come out of Tylertown that has several warnings with it that go all the way through, probably for at least the next 45 minutes. This is a powerful storm that's on the ground. Not a lot to slow it down, so it won't be really interrupted at all. When you get a major tornado, it's very large, mature supercell, and it has a lot of support from the atmosphere. There's not much to slow it down. The value there is that you're going to be able to see the storm coming for a little bit longer because it's a warned storm. You have proof that it is a twisting storm and it's on the ground, and so you can watch it for a little bit longer. That's one of the benefits, but it is bad news for folks that are in the path of this storm, which we're going to be watching again. This is just to the north of Columbia, sort of off to the north and west of Columbia and west of Hattiesburg. This storm, along with many others that are moving through Mississippi today, are life-threatening storms. So this tornado outbreak is just getting underway, and it is going to continue through the afternoon. Right now, the tornado watch, which is a particularly dangerous situation watch, is going to go until 8 o'clock tonight. So this is one that we're going to continue to watch. It's good to stand here at the wall, but it's better when I can manipulate the map. So I'm going to be able to go back to do that. That way I can kind of see what's happening and talk about it at the exact same time. So who knew that running a television station and trying to run the logistics is so crazy, but fun nonetheless.
This tornado warning has been updated.
Let's take a look. Being able to have the freedom to do it at your own pace and your own style, that's one of the benefits to this. All right, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, one of the spots. Everybody east of 59 right now is seeing these storms come through and watching them. And Hattiesburg, I think, lucks out a bit here because the most severe storms are moving north and east. And so maybe they are nearly paralleling 59 for the moment. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stay that way the entire afternoon, but they had a progression that was sort of eastward, and now there's more of a northeast push as the storm is moving just west of Columbia and making its way towards Collins. The latest on these storms coming through again is a PDS, or particularly dangerous situation. If you haven't heard that before, these are only issued about 7% of the time with the Storm Prediction Center, the National Weather Service, actually, because it's not that often that you have that high of a confidence that a storm is going to be exceptionally dangerous. When you do, you got to let the public know. What it means is you're about 3 times more likely to actually be hit by a tornado. If you've got a PDS, they do not use that terminology very lightly. It is a serious alert, and it's one that should be taken very seriously.
New information.
Here's the latest on the storm. 48 minutes left on this tornado warning as the storm is moving west of Columbia. So it's north of what is probably a county road, 98. Tornado warning in effect through 2:30 Central Time. And it's a confirmed large tornado, extremely dangerous, over Salem, 17 miles west of Columbia. So that's what we're watching. It's a radar confirmed tornado. I think there have been some reports on this one as well, but it can do damage very easily. Here's Columbia. So it said just about 17 miles west of Columbia. So if we take a look there at Columbia and then we see the storm coming right out of the Tylertown area, that is on point for what is being described. There's another cell that's just to the north of this, right here. This is Carson towards Collins. Let's look and see what the latest is on this alert. Considerable damage as well. It is a PDS. Let's go with PDS now that we've gotten that terminology down. Again, not a typical alert that's put out by National Weather Service offices, but it is because of the exceptional danger that's associated with the type of storm that's moving. Right now, the tornado was reported near Carson, or about 7 miles east of Prentice, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. So if we take the radar and we look at where it is in Carson and we go northeast, Let's take it all the way till near Collins at 45 miles per hour, and we calculate what's going on there. Population that's impacted on that looks like it's about, I know you guys can't see it, I'll see if I can move it. If it'll let me. Oh, I gotta turn this off, but I think it'll disappear when that happens. So I'll let you know. Population's 2,400. Carson, it's going to be, it's really overhead right now. Williamsburg has 17 minutes, and you've got Aura, 21 minutes. Again, population about 2,500 in that particular warning box and in that area. Oops, we don't want to go there. Here's a look at the line of storms west of Interstate 59, and we're seeing these storms come out of Mississippi, or come out of Mississippi, and they're going to make their way towards northwestern Georgia. Here's Jackson, Mississippi. Here's Meridian, Mississippi, and you've got Hattiesburg. The line of storms located here, it's got to push like this, which is kind of north-northeast. That's the direction of the storms, and you get an idea. Really, the entire state of Mississippi has been pounded, just pounded. Coming across the Mississippi River here, all of these numbers that you're seeing on the map, this entire area of numbers and reports, those primarily are hail reports and wind reports that have come out of this storm. Damaging hail, damaging winds, and in fact, some of the destruction of the winds has taken out power. You can see a power outage right here, a couple of different power outages, and it tells you the number of customers that are still without power. Because the storms repeated earlier, there's also some flood warnings that are up for portions of the Mississippi and the outlying waterways and outlying bodies here. You notice that this flood warning is right here on that portion of the Mississippi River. So when storms continue to repeat themselves and you've got a lot of runoff, too much rain, too short a time, you get flooding issues and flooding problems that come in. All right, we've got at least some driving here going on over Mississippi. And this is one of the HazCams, Ackerman.
Yep, and this is Chaser Brett Adair, Amy.
Brett Adair does some good work with Live Storms Media. He's got a couple companies, and he is en route, it looks like, to whatever the latest storm is. And if his location is Ackerman, Mississippi, he is, as usual, in the heart of this and looking at the storms as he goes. He offers reports on Weather Nation, also runs his own company and does some great weather consulting work as well. So Brett Adair there on the scene of these storms. Dozens and dozens of storm chasers are right now following this storm, and they've been reporting on the dangers of it. The most experienced storm chasers out doing the work. This is not a storm that you would start on. This is not an outbreak that you would want to be a part of if you're just starting, because of the serious nature of the storms and also the difficult terrain that you got to be on there in parts of Mississippi. Capital there, Hattiesburg, we're just seeing these storms west of Interstate 59 sort of paralleling up, running northeast. So the storm Columbia from Columbia that's moving into Collins, getting the latest on that particular storm right now. Considerable damage threat with this particular tornado. Southeastern Smith County, northern Covington County, and northwestern Jones County. You are looking at a large, extremely dangerous tornado coming through, and it's a particularly dangerous situation. So we'll continue to watch these storms. You can see that there's a lot of time left for this much area, not just of Mississippi, but you move into Alabama. It's been a little bit of a
new information.
the sort of round one come through, okay, Alabama. But once we get into the afternoon hours and we start to look at what could potentially happen further north and west, let's see what's up for Birmingham, Tuscaloosa. Tuscaloosa's had some storms move through, certainly, already.
New information. This tornado warning has been updated.
Taking a second for it to load up. So we've got the southern radar on there. Tupelo.
New information. This tornado warning has been updated.
Those storms have been repeating over and over the same areas, and that's put down a lot of moisture and a lot of rain in those areas. And then if we take a look at this one that's just moved out of Mississippi into Georgia. This is a tornado warning. It's got 26 minutes left on it. And this was radar indicated rotation. And the storm itself was 7 miles east of Tremont or northwest of Hamilton. It's also moving 50 miles an hour. So I wanted to check in and kind of see what was going on with that particular storm. I want to go back into single site. And this is going to allow me to choose which radar that I want. And I believe I'll go with the Jackson radar here. Wow. Gosh, look at this, guys. Several tornadoes, large tornadoes on the ground here as we look at this. Serious situation for anyone living in Mississippi, the southeast, as these storms come through. A lot of these storms have a history of producing hail, very large hail, and damaging winds, and we've already seen tornadoes on the ground. I want to look and see what the latest is coming with the Storm Prediction Center so we can kind of get a look at what the actual ground truth has been or what people are reporting. So you have local emergency managers, you have storm chasers, storm spotters, trained people who can look at what's going on and then make those reports coming in. And the official reports coming in, the one storm out of Sharkey, Mississippi, and then it looks like another storm out of Louisiana, and then Sharp, Arkansas is another place where we've seen storms come through. Another check here. All right, Ed, what do you think? Maybe take a break and let folks look at the radars and give the alerts and warnings there for them to see. The Tylertown report of this massive tornado wedge that's come through, it's definitely done some damage. Those reports are real, and they've got pictures to support them. So very large wedge tornado. Different types of tornadoes. A wedge means that it's the shape of a wedge, and it's very large in nature, and so it's difficult sometimes to see the full storm coming in your direction. There's also a rope tornado, which a rope tornado would be something that's very skinny, it's fast, it's destructive, but it's thin and you can see it, and it might be kind of what you think of in your mind's eye if you see, if you thought of a tornado, you would see some sort of skinny rope tornado. But the large wedge tornadoes tend to be the most destructive, the most damaging. This was probably about 10 minutes ago where this came through. So I'm going to look at this storm. So here's Tylertown right here. So the rain has stopped, but if we take the radar back and we're going to look at it over the last 75 frames and see if we see it pull through. So there we go, right about there. Can't make it go backwards, but that is the storm as it came through Tylertown. And I just want to get a little bit better look at that. Yeah, you saw it. Okay, so that's over 98. That's likely where our damage was. So that particular storm out of Tylertown, which was a tornado, did do damage on the ground, has now made its way right here north of Columbia. It is an observed tornado, meaning people have seen it. It's a large wedge tornado, which is dark and wide and very scary looking if you can see the edges of it, and even scarier if you cannot see the edges of it as it moves towards you, because it just looks like a wall of massive wind with rain in it. Right now, confirmed tornado located near Holly Springs, 10 miles northwest of Columbia, moving northwest or northeast, sorry, at 45 miles an hour. Damaging tornado and quarter-size hail, flying debris. Make sure that you take cover. This tornado is going to be near Ghost, Oakville, Bunker Hill, Society Hill, right before 2 p.m. Central Time. Tornado on the ground. Now, if the tornado was on the ground here in Tyler, if it was on the ground here in Tyler, we're continuing to see it warned here very clearly on the map. You can see the circulation. That's going to create a mess. You're not really going to be able to see a lot. Intensity of the storm, intensity of the rain, the downdrafts likely producing some hail out of that storm as well. So there's nothing to really stop this storm from staying intact and making its way to the next town, making its way towards Collins, which has just had a storm come through. So repetitive storms coming over these areas, you'll continue to see the threat. Once one storm is passed, you can't necessarily lay down your guard because we're seeing training or repeating of the thunderstorms over each other. This is one of the HazCam. Well, this HazCam is somebody who's on the move through Mississippi and likely a field meteorologist who is chasing the storm, or at least trying to put themselves in a way that they can track the storm and get a good visual on it. This storm has had also an observed tornado on the ground, and this was near Collins, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Flying debris associated with this storm as well. It's going to be around Cedar Ridge at 2:10 Central Time, and these are very, very destructive storms, very large tornadoes. Mainly west of Interstate 59 is the large supercells that we're watching. These are mature storms that have had a long duration on the ground. There's there's nothing really to interrupt the storm or interrupt the supercell as it's coming through. And scary to see the amount of storms that are being produced right now. A lot of lightning within the storms as well, which is being reported. Massive, massive storms. Wedge tornadoes, very large at the base on the ground where they're spinning up debris, and then they get wider as they go higher up into the atmosphere, and that is the circulation of all the winds. Measuring the atmosphere this morning, just looking at sort of generally what was happening over the state of Mississippi, everything was textbook. When I mean textbook is when you study meteorology and you look at what could potentially create a tornado. You're looking at the low-level jet. It was 60 miles an hour at 4,000 feet. So from the surface to 4,000 feet, you still got the wind moving at 60 miles an hour. That's enough. That's an impressive speed. We also had a lot of what's called CAPE, or convective available potential energy. That also was right on above 2,000 joules. The pronounced cap that we look at to see, will this be a setup for the atmosphere to keep all the ingredients there before we see the storms take off? That definitely happening. At the surface, there were southeasterly winds that were conflicting with the higher level winds, and that starts to create an environment where you can see spin and then a lot of shear in the atmosphere. Normally, if you have about, let's say 20, 30 miles an hour of major shear, that could do it, but we had 45 to 50, nearly 45 mile an hour shear. So all of these elements in place support an atmosphere that is conducive to tornado development and also tornado movement as you go throughout this outbreak. So not a lot to slow down what's happening. All of the tornado warnings right now are producing hail, either 3/4 inch or 1 inch hail that's coming through. Pike, Mississippi, this is the latest warning that has come out, and it looks like it's for the storm that's approaching. Here's the watch box right here. That's what we're watching for, okay, or the warning area that's already been outlined. But it looks like this is the storm. If you pull back. Just kind of a mess of storms across Louisiana, Mississippi, also moving into northwestern Georgia. So this storm's coming out of Louisiana, making its way into Mississippi right now. And this is north of Interstate 12, west of 59, and that's where we see the large number of tornadoes that are currently warned. In fact, there are 6 tornado warnings right now up. 4, 5, we see 5 of them. Where is our 6th one? Or maybe it's overlapping, that's why they're calling it the 6th. These are all to the west of Hattiesburg, west of Meridian, Mississippi. And if you are in this area, you want to make sure that you take cover. All right, let's take a little break. We'll go ahead and let the stream run so that you can see the radars and you can get the benefit of the alerts coming over. But we'll go ahead and close it out now and keep the stream going.